Military families have incredible stories of perseverance while navigating frequent moves, deployments, food insecurity, transitioning out of the military, and more. This is the place for them to share those stories, highlighting unique experiences of military families. Welcome to the Professional Dependent Podcast.
Box for like the entire episode, and I think we could both just like share stories back and forth about that. Because
100%. But
man, so I really don't know where to start with this because again, you're the first guest I don't have a actual personal connection with other than loving the content you do. But I know you're so much more than a content creator. So why don't you introduce yourself however you want to?
sure. So my name is Maria Reed. I am a military spouse of now going on 21 years. Which is crazy. I feel like we just met the other day. And I am a mom of two. My two kiddos, two in college, which is
Oh,
crazy enough.
nice.
At the same time, one's heading off. He's in the ROTC program, so he'll be heading off to the military himself in
Mhm.
4 years from now. And I feel like I wear a lot of hats as a military spouse. So I created the TV series Moving with the Military. We honor military families with surprise home makeovers. I am one of the co-founders of the Inspire Up Foundation. I am an accidental app developer. I've done some crazy things. I'm in the process of writing a cookbook. There's like a lot of different things that I do. I feel like I don't do one thing, but that we mentioned a second ago that the word influencer, content
Mm.
creator. I don't see myself as that at all because
Right.
that's I'm like that's not really what I do. But okay, happy accident. If that's the way people come to find who we
Mhm.
are and really can dive into the mission, then yeah, okay. But that's basically my story.
But I feel like most people that are actually doing the content thing for the right reason, like they're trying to tell a story, they're trying to highlight what other people are doing and shine that spotlight. I feel like those people aren't being influencers. They're trying to shine a spotlight. They're trying to be almost like reporter for a lack of a better word. We're trying to show somebody's story and you do that so well through moving with the military.
Thank
Um,
you.
and I don't even know how I came across your content because, like I said, I started following you a couple years ago, and I love it. You're because if correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't you a dancer at one point also? Like
Way back in the day,
way
yeah.
back in the day, but I remember a certain dance challenge that you did with one of your kids, and you kind of embarrassed them because you're like, "Watch out, mom still got it."
Heck yeah. Well, there was some kind of TikTok challenge. And
Mhm.
my son was like, I know the moves, mom, I can do it. And so I did it with him, and he's like, oh gosh, so
Dang
embarrassing.
it.
Mom's actually better. It was fun.
But
Good
that,
time.
and that's one of the things that I don't think a lot of people realize is that whenever we tell people, "Hey, I'm a military spouse," they automatically try to put us in that box. "Oh, okay, you're a military spouse." But it's not just that. Like we either we had lives before our spouses joined the military, we have our own lives while our spouses are in the military. And so with that, like how did you what where did you go from pre-moving with the military to be like, you know what, this is something I enjoy doing. I need to share this with other people and show this story.
Well, I am so glad you asked that question, actually, because I hear all the time, especially when we go now to
Mhm.
networks, big networks, and I hear, oh, but you're just a military spouse. Like, what does that mean? Just a
Yeah.
military spouse? So prior to meeting my husband, I had my own production company. I was a producer, a director. I've directed with HBO documentaries. I've won awards. I have some Addies and a Clio. And like I've got awards. This is a life and a career that I had
Right.
way before I met him. And then met my husband. We had children,
Mhm.
and I didn't really understand the military. So when my husband was explaining, if you're going to be traveling all the time and never around, and I am on orders and never
Mhm.
around, who's gonna watch our kids? Family care plan? Like, what's happening? And the
Right.
Army's not gonna let him out.
Right.
So it made sense for me at that time to step back and say, I'm going to raise our children, and I'm going to kind of be a stay-at-home mom. That didn't really last very long. I became a teacher because I was like, I can't do this.
Right.
But I kind of understood our roles. And as the kids got older, I really felt passionate about, number one, mainly giving back to the military community, but to do what I love to do, which is to tell stories. Like you said, about shining a light on others. That's kind of like being a journalist. So you want to share that story about what military families go through. So I started doing it. I actually just came up with the idea, shared it with my husband, and I'm like, here, I'm a brainchild. This is amazing, right? I'm a genius. And he said, it's wonderful. If anybody can do it, you can. By the way, I'm deploying in 30 days. Thought this would be the best time to tell you.
I mean, that's so typical though.
Exactly.
It's like, hey, I want to do this thing. Cool. I just got orders. Son of a.
Yes. Every time there's like a big thing, he's like, I'm deploying, but have fun, make that happen. So I did the first year of moving with the military while he was gone. He was, I want to say he was in Afghanistan at that time. I don't even remember. They all, blend after a while. So now we're in our 7th year or getting into our 7th year of moving with the military. And, we love what we do. It definitely is a labor of love. It's not easy. And a lot of the big networks don't see value in us, sadly. They're like, well, the military community is really small and it's very niche, and we're not sure America's interested in a show dedicated to military families. I'm like, are you serious right now? Is that what you guys are? This is what you're telling yourselves, right? So we went ahead and did it on our own. We're very thankful to be on VetStream TV, who is owned by a veteran Marine.
Nice.
He's a retired Marine, so he gets it.
Right.
And I feel like there needs to be someone on those teams, those decision-making teams, that get it, that understand and go, yes.
Right.
And we're fortunate that our show does see, over 4 million people every time. And that to me says people are interested. They're interested in wanting to see those stories. And the makeovers are then just happy bonus.
I think the one I watched one today, and it was so much fun because it was a little girl that y'all told her she was helping with another kid's makeover. And it was one from like 5 years ago, but it's still like, I watched that and I was imagining my girls 5 years ago, because they would have been about that same age, and I was just like, this is so adorable and I love it so much. Because like we were talking like right before we hit record, the military kids, they deserve so much.
Yes, they do.
Because whenever people say, oh, one of the things people love to tell spouses, oh, you knew what you were signing up for. Well, okay, but whatever. It's like, but the kids are along for the ride, and we ask so much of our kids. So to see so much of the videos going to the military kids, I mean, I've got 2 daughters. I sit here and I've just got tears in my eyes the whole time I watch it, because I'm like, it's so heartwarming and it's so amazing. But how did you go from being a producer to being this designer, person that comes in and goes, okay, this is the space we've got. Here's where I can see it going.
Trial by fire. Originally, when I came up with the idea of moving with the military, I did not want to be the host.
Okay.
I'm a producer.
Right.
I'm a director. I'm a writer. That's what I do. And as I'm meeting with some of the major networks that originally were interested, they were bringing in talent, actresses who are beautiful and lovely and, could talk and read a teleprompter and all those things. But I'm like, do you have any connection with the military? Like,
where's the emotion?
Yeah, some cousin, somebody somewhere along the line. No. And I'm like, man, our community's gonna sniff you out. And it was right. And it was a producer from their end that went, well, then if that's so important, then you should just do it yourself. Okay, challenge accepted. I will do that myself. And that's how it started. And
Mhm.
and the whole I love design.
Mhm.
It's part of just, who I am. And having moved so many times and having had to make so many homes, I
Mhm.
felt like I can do this. I'm pretty good at it. I have a creative art background. So, this can't be that hard.
Right?
And then I did my first one and realized, wow, this is hard.
This is harder than I thought.
This is a lot harder than I thought, because there's so many hats. I
Right.
have the producer hat, I have the director hat, I have the writer hat, I have the host hat, I have the
Mhm.
designer hat. And you're even though we work with teams that help us, there's
Mhm.
just so much that has to come to one person at the end. I'm
Right.
the end game. How do I do it all? And it was hard. It wasn't easy. And getting money, as
Mhm.
with being an influencer or being a content creator of any kind, it's based on numbers. And
Right.
when you're starting out, the first thing that people say is, "Oh, well, what's your reach? How many followers do you
Mhm.
have? How many people are going to see this? Oh, wow, you're really small. Yeah, thanks, but no."
Yeah.
But we kept doing it anyway. We're like, we'll
Mhm.
figure it out. And it just kept growing and growing and
Mhm.
growing to where we are now. That now some of those big networks are going, maybe we had it wrong.
You don't say.
Yeah, maybe we should come back. But the whole designing part was really just trial and errors,
Mhm.
figuring it out by having moved so many times
Mhm.
to what's gonna work. What are the best ways that we can support military families, but even just share with the civilian community who,
Mhm.
maybe renters or move a lot. These are different things that you can do to save money, to create a
Mhm.
beautiful home on a budget. Because having a home, like you said, you thought about your girls, right?
Mhm.
Having spaces that we love and that make us feel good really can change our mental health,
Mhm.
the way that our well-being is. I mean, it is a game changer. And this is not me saying it because I'm a designer. There's actual scientific proof.
Oh, yeah, there's data behind that.
Yeah. So, and we've tried it. We've seen it. And COVID, sadly, was a huge data source because
Yeah.
people were in their homes all the time
Mhm.
around the same walls. That home improvement, I think it went up by 110%
I believe it.
because people
Espe
wanted to feel better.
and especially because Lowe's was, like, one of the only places they didn't close down, like, you could
True. It needed to stay open and it did. So, so it worked. But yeah, now I think we're on our 70th makeover. We were in Alaska last year honoring a military family,
Or
which
you
was
y'all
crazy.
went to J Bear, didn't you?
We went to it was a town was in Palmer, so near Wasilla.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we
So
were out
so
there.
so my wife was stationed at Eielson for 3 years up in Fairbanks. We
Nice.
loved Alaska.
I wanted to get to Fairbanks. I really wanted to see the Northern Lights. So it was the
Yep.
only thing I didn't get to see, but it was magical. I understand now why military families love it there, why
Mhm.
they want to stay there. Because when my husband said, "Hey, let's go to Alaska," I can put that as one of. I was like, "Nope, nope, no way." Now,
Now you get
hindsight,
it.
I would have said, "Yeah, let's go."
Now, I will say there's a giant difference between being down in Anchorage and being up in Fairbanks. Because right whenever we were getting ready to move there, I had to we were living in Maryland and my wife got orders to Fairbanks. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna be jumping back into job search. I need like a sport coat. So I went to Men's Warehouse, was looking for a sport coat, and the guy was like, "Oh, there's a store in Anchorage you can use." I was like, "You don't understand. Anchorage is an 8-hour drive from Fairbanks." He was like, "Do what?" It's
You
like,
don't realize how big Alaska is.
yes,
Because I was like, can't we just see those northern lights? They're like, no, that's 8 hours away. Because we were staying in Anchorage.
right.
So that was, getting up to Wasilla every day and doing all of that. So it was
Mhm.
crazy, but I loved it there.
Yeah, Alaska does one of two things to you. It either makes you go, "I could stay here forever," or makes you go, "I can't wait to leave." There's
Yes,
no in between.
there's no in between. Now, we were there in September, so we
Okay.
didn't get the heavy, cold weather or the
Right.
snow. It was just beautiful. We were there for the
Yep.
state fair. I
Mhm.
mean, it was beautiful. We did get down to the Kenai Peninsula and see the
Oh,
glacier.
nice. Mhm.
It was so beautiful. There's so many things about. I think Alaska changes people,
It
and I was
does.
only there for a week, and I
It
was
it
like, I feel different.
it makes you to me, it makes you appreciate, like, how nature and everything can just really truly be beautiful. Because everybody's like, "Nature's okay," then you go there and you really see nature at its fullest. And you're like, wow. Because we went to Seward and there's a thing called the Kenai Fjords Tour where you go on a little boat.
Yes.
And we got to see like mountain goats on the side of the thing with like their whales, there's all this stuff. And you're just like, I am so, in the grander scheme of things, it's like, I'm so insignificant with all of this stuff going on around me. I could talk about Alaska all day. It's great.
But you said the perfect thing. I felt so small.
Yeah.
I felt so small. Like Mother Nature, our Earth is so beautiful when you're standing in front of that glacier and you're just like, the power. And coming back, we had an amazing captain because we took a boat tour as well. It was rough. And I'm from Florida. So I'm used to rough water. We cross it over to the Bahamas. These were some heavy swells. Like half the boat was sick.
Wow.
And I was like, Mother Nature, man, have some respect. For real.
And we so one time, so I've got some really, really close friends in Alaska. It's actually have you heard of Team Red, White, and Blue, Team RWB?
No, I haven't. Tell me more.
So it's a veteran service organization that I've been a part of since 2015. It actually got started. It started with a guy named Mike Irwin.
Okay.
He's an Army. I think he's a lieutenant colonel now. Anyway, he came back from deployment, wanted to start feeling connected to his community, so he grabbed a flag and went for a run. And then, like the next weekend, he grabbed a flag, went for a run. This time, a couple of his buddies joined him. And so it's a great organization. Their whole mission statement is connecting veterans to their community through physical and social activity.
Love it.
All over the country. But I've got some really close friends that are in Fairbanks that I've joined Team RWB to hang out with them, and then we just became best friends. We were camping in Valdez, and we went halibut fishing out in the. So we're going out in Valdez, going halibut fishing. I was sick the entire time. The only time I was not sick was when the boat was moving. Every time we stopped to fish, I was chumming the water. It was horrible. But I caught fish. They were laughing because they're like, you're the only person I've ever seen constantly throwing up but reeling in fish. It's like, I wasn't going to stop. It was with how much that thing costs. I was not about to stop fishing and ruin everybody else's day and ask to go back. I was just going to tough it out.
That's funny. I mean, I don't mean to make light of it, but
no, this was 2000. This was 2018. So it was the last thing we did before driving out to go to Arkansas.
Wow.
So I was not. It's hilarious looking back on it.
Right.
But one of the things that I love about your show is, this is the sixth state my kids have lived in. Mm-hmm. And so every house you move to, depending on if you rent or if you're living on base, especially, there's certain things you can and can't do to those houses. And like one of the ones I just watched you do, you were explaining why to use removable wallpaper instead of paint. And like the house we live in now, we bought the house, but as most military families do, you buy the house understanding you're not going to be there forever. So you're always like, well, I don't want to do this because we're going to have to sell it eventually. Mm-hmm. But we hung tapestries, almost wall-sized tapestry up on the wall. And then I saw your show talking about why to use removable wallpaper. And I was like, that's brilliant.
The same reason you used the wall tapestry. You created a giant focal piece of beautiful wall art, but you could take it down. You could take it with you. With removable wallpaper, you can't, I don't think you can take it with you. Listen, when it comes down, it comes down. But we just tried to, because time is money, right? So it takes time to paint. And then I look that into it. It's going to take time to repaint when you leave. So I've often heard, well, removable wallpaper can be expensive. Well, it can, but you don't necessarily have to do an entire room. You can do one focal wall, and then it's your time in taking it down is seconds. Whereas when you have to buy paint to repaint. So I factor in all of those things. And when we do a makeover, we don't want it to be difficult for the family, because once the makeover is done, I'm gone.
Yeah. I'm not coming here to maintain it for you.
Right. I'm not coming back so I have to think of the family. Like if they have to, repaint, if they have to do all this, what's the easiest way for the family? Removable wallpaper, it just comes down. Now, some families may want to paint and they're like, oh, I don't mind. I paint all the time. But, we put all those things, we keep all those things in mind to make sure that we are cognizant of the family's needs and not putting a burden on them when we're doing a makeover.
What is something that you wish more military families understood about the importance of decorating and making a space your own? Because I know a lot of spouses that I know, they're like, well, what's the point of getting stuff put up? Because the second I get the last picture hung, we're getting orders. Or the second I get the last box unpacked, we're getting orders.
Yes, that is true. And most likely that will happen.
Yep.
But it's for the meantime that you are there. And I use my daughter as an example. When we moved to our first duty station, she wanted a pink room, at least one of the walls pink.
Mhm.
And in my head, I was like, absolutely not. And that was the first thing I said, no. It just came
Right.
out no, because I knew the back end. What am
Yeah.
I going to have to do? But the look on her face was like, I don't understand.
Mhm.
It's my room, it's my space, it's where I'm want to be happy.
Right.
And just in a fraction of a second, I read all of that in her
Mhm.
and immediately went and bought pink paint and painted the wall because I saw that difference. And now, fast forward, umpteen years later,
Mhm.
she's in college. And she said walking into her college apartment was
Mhm.
like walking into military housing. And
Mhm.
she immediately got depressed. No hate on military housing.
No,
That's not
right.
why she got depressed. But it was that white walls,
Mhm.
sterile, there's nothing.
No, there's
And
there's no personality at all. It's just cookie cutter and
and
bland.
I'm unhappy in this. So
Right.
what do I do? So immediately she calls me, we're on the phone. I'm like, all right, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're
Mhm.
going to get things done, and we got it done. It doesn't have to be a lot. And sometimes I think, especially with a younger generation, they look at Pinterest and
Mhm.
Instagram. I want that right now,
Right.
exactly like that. Well, it takes time. Start with one step, start
Mhm.
with one thing of something that makes you happy. I am not about following trends or doing what other people are doing. I could
Mhm.
care less. I want to do what makes me happy. That would
Right.
be in my home. So I'm also part psychologist and private investigator when I'm dealing with family to find out what they like,
Right.
because I want this to be their happy place. And that is such an impact in our family. If I could impart anything to the military families, it would be do this because of your well-being. These are the memories that you're making with
Mhm.
your family, even if it's for 6 months, even if it's for a year or two. Those memories are being made. And the way that you are reacting and acting
Mhm.
is the way your kids are going to react and act in the future. You don't realize how much of the way we are putting onto
Oh
our
yeah.
kids. They're learning from that, they're observing that.
Mhm.
And then that's the way they're going to be when they move on and
Oh
get
yeah.
their, move on to their lives. So do it. It'll change your life. It's good for the soul.
Yeah, they definitely do pick up on everything. My oldest is 10, she's about to turn 11.
Mhm.
And she is way smarter than I was at that age, but she's got my sarcasm and wit, and unfortunately, she wields it with laser like precision. Because every once in a while, she'll say something. I'm like, I really don't like that you said that, but it was so good. I can't be mad at it.
Yes, yes.
Oh man, kids are great. But yeah, that's something that we've honestly tried to do a bunch of times. Like, we'll either let them pick out like a rug and some other things to go up on the wall, like especially because like when we were in Alaska, we rented the house for 3 years. We've actually never lived on base
Okay.
because, and I think that started because the first duty station we were at, whenever we found out my wife was going, I'm from Louisiana originally.
Okay.
My wife was going to school at LSU for veterinary school, and she joined the Air Force. So she became a public health officer for the Air Force. She's not a practicing vet. I usually have to get that out of the way ahead of time because people are like, but the Air Force doesn't have veterinarians. I'm like, they do, but they don't. She got orders to Barksdale, which is Bossier City, Louisiana. And I was like, great. I don't even need directions to go there because I went to school at Northwestern State, which is an hour and a half away. Like, join the Air Force to see the world, stay home.
Yeah.
But I was able to find a job up there pretty quick. So because she wasn't there yet, we couldn't have gotten on base housing at that point anyway. And I think that kind of set the tone. But
Mhm.
once we had kids, we try to let them do something in their room to make it theirs. And I think one thing that I like is like you don't just focus on the kids. You, like I said, you focus on the family as a whole. I know I keep bringing up the kids because I've got kids and they are my everything. But I think one thing that military spouses in general we tend to do is we tend to put ourselves back, and we're like, I'm going to do this other stuff to help my kids or help my spouse, and you're all about helping everybody,
The whole
and
family.
the whole family, and it's so great that you do that because, like I said, I think, and I'm sure that you even said that you went through that a little bit yourself. Like you were doing all this stuff, and your husband's like, well, what's going to happen whenever I deploy? And so you're like, well, I had to take a step back, but you were able to then not say necessarily find your way back, but be like, okay, well, now's the time for me to move forward.
Yeah.
How supportive was your spouse for that?
Oh, he was amazing. He didn't want me to give up my career.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a film career before I met my husband,
Right.
completely different. And then we met, we had children. He was deploying all the time. Somebody
Mhm.
had to stay back. So I stayed back. And it was at first like a necessity. We've got
Right.
small kids. It has to be. But staying home for me didn't work very well. That's I'm not that person.
Right.
I really wanted to have a career, so I became a teacher, and I
Mhm.
taught for 12 years, and I loved being a teacher.
Mhm.
That was awesome for that time.
Right.
But when our kids got older and we were able to, do they're driving, they're doing their own thing, they don't
Mhm.
need me anymore. I'm like, I need me.
Right.
I need me to come back. So this was, that work in progress of when we started it, to start it
Mhm.
out slow to now, being a full blown TV show. I am so thankful that I did it.
Right.
This is the thing. This is my mantra. I say it to military spouses all the time. Do it scared.
Yeah.
Do it, because there will never be a perfect time. There will always be this is happening. This is coming up. There will always be that.
Right.
So we took the jump, and my husband was like, do it, babe. I can only help you so much. So
Right.
especially being deployed. But I always say he is my biggest cheerleader.
Mhm.
He has always been supportive. When we started the first year, it was our own money. We
Yeah.
literally took our entire, which who would do this? But we took our entire life savings
Mhm.
and we put it into giving back to other people. And, we were either nuts or really smart. One of the two.
Well, it's one of those things like that. There's a great quote I heard one time, and I have no clue who said it, but they said, "Build the parachute on the way down." Once you have the idea, you said, "Do it scared." You jump, figure it out, because you're either going to succeed, or you're going to learn a lot on the way down.
See, exactly.
And I really think you said you're either crazy or very smart to use your life savings, but there's no better investment than giving back.
100%.
There's really not. I can't think of anything more noble than giving back to the community that you're involved in. Because then as on your side of it, you know the impact that those families are feeling.
100%. I mean, we see it when we started and we gave to a family. I'm like, I don't know what this is going to do.
Right.
And then it did not take very long to see what it was going to do, because it
Mhm.
literally happened at that moment. It changed those lives for those families. We may have known their story and we were sharing a little bit, but we didn't know everything that was happening.
Right.
And to see the impact, every family that we've ever helped has gone on to help other families, to get
Nice.
involved, to volunteer, to do something, to come back
Mhm.
and volunteer with us on another makeover,
Nice.
because they see how important it is to
Mhm.
help others, because somebody helped them.
Right.
And they were just like that. It's what is that ripple effect?
Yeah.
One, and it keeps going. That there is no price tag.
Right.
I would do it all over again. I would put our entire life savings in again, because it really changed lives. So I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, seeing the look on the faces of those families, like, to me, that's like every time I see this, the people just they're in such disbelief that somebody came in to help them and to change some small part of the life, but you can just see the impact it has. And I'm sitting here thinking about the people that you talk to. They're like, well, I don't really see the values. Like, how can you not see these people's reactions and understand the impact and the value that's bringing to people?
100%.
It's just, it's mind boggling.
It's mind boggling. To me, the best line I ever heard was, we don't think America will be interested in a show dedicated to military families. I was like, what? Like, what? Where's that come from? Because, you know, when we look at things database, right? We want to look at numbers. There is over 30 million military connected families, veterans, active duty, 30 million people.
Yeah.
That's just that. And then you have military, that's military connected, but then you have military supporters, just you know, people who support the military. Those are millions and millions. I can't even get that number because there's so many. And I was just like, that makes absolutely no sense. And I really feel that by doing the show and being able to bridge that gap to the civilians, because like you said, you don't live on a military installation. In fact, throwing little statistics, more than 85% of military families don't live on military installations. There's not enough housing.
That's what I was about to say. Some of us can't get on base.
Yeah, there's not enough. So you have more people, more military families who actually live within the communities. The kids go to school with all the other kids, you know, that they work in the same job. So you have all of this, and people sometimes don't even know, because the military families are like, we're gonna not, we don't know, do we make friends with people? Will they accept us because we're a military family? You never know. So we really want to encourage, and it's coming up on September 28th is Good Neighbor Day, National Good Neighbor Day.
Well, that's
and
cool.
That's the day that we want people, I think we have forgotten how to be neighbors. You know, there was a great, I think I saw it on Instagram. It was a video where it's the 1950s and someone knocked on your door and you're like, oh, let me make sure my house looks cute. And you open the door, you're like, have some tea? Let's sit down. Today, somebody knocks on the door and people duck.
That's that, oh, he's that Italian comedian. I know exactly what you're talking about. That guy's hilarious.
But it's true.
It really is. And you know, so we're front porch sitters. We like to sit out on the front porch and just relax, especially because now my wife got orders to write Pat, and so we're in Dayton, Ohio now.
Right.
And the weather here is, I almost hate to tell you because I know you're in Texas, but the weather here has been phenomenal. It was almost chilly this morning. Don't be mad at me.
It's Hades here. It is so hot. It's awful. You wake up in the morning, it's like walking into an oven. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I was talking to a friend of mine that his episode actually comes out tomorrow. He's an Army veteran. He was with 3rd Special Forces Group, and he started a company called Cleaner. It's sundries. It's like soap and deodorant and beer, and it's all natural. Because he was like, well, we were exposed to so many chemicals and stuff in the Army and the military in general. I'm trying to find a way to like not have that exposure anymore.
Nice. I love that.
So he's a great guy. He's a great family. But he lives in College Station.
Okay, not far.
Yeah. So and I was talking to him last week, and I was like, what was it, like 112 there? He said, I think it was 112 Sunday. And I'm like, oh. And
then with the heat index, it's hotter.
Yeah.
You're talking like 120. It's brutal.
I don't even know why people bother with saying it's this temperature, but it feels like this. Just give me the top number.
Top number. I'm with you.
Again, I'm from Louisiana. Like I was born with humidity. Like I didn't have to adapt to it. I'm born to it. So breathing through a wet washcloth is just second nature to me.
Over here they say, but it's a dry heat.
It's just hot.
Exactly. So no, I don't hate the fact that you had a nice chilly morning.
But so we like to sit out, and there's so few people that just sit out anymore. Like I will say the neighborhood we're in is it's probably the most unique neighborhood we've lived in since my wife has been in the military. and that there's a lot of people that are out walking, and so you get to know your neighbors, but nobody just sits and hangs out anymore.
That is true. The only time I see it here, oddly enough, is on Halloween. People are out because they're walking with the
Right.
kids, but that's pretty much it. Even here, and it's surprising, we're in a military town. We're by, formerly Fort Hood, now Fort Cavazos.
Mm-hmm.
We're not far from the installation. Do you know we're the only house that has an American flag on it?
Wow.
That to me was, that's sad.
It is sad.
That is sad, knowing that a lot of our neighbors are former military.
Right.
I'm like, you would think it would be more, but I don't know if it's the heat that keeps people inside or just life now, because we don't have that much either. And I'm the welcome wagon. So we were the second house built on this street.
Okay.
Now the entire street is built up.
Mm-hmm.
When people moved in, I was like, hi. Welcome to the neighborhood. Here's cookies, here's something. Because that's just kind of where I come from. That's how we are. But we don't see that much anymore. And that's why, celebrating Good Neighbor Day to me is really important. And I want people to get out and get to know who their neighbors are.
Yeah. So you said Good Neighbor Day is the 28th of September?
28th of September.
I'm
the National Real Day.
And I'm super far behind, because you're the first person I've ever heard about this from. I don't think I've ever known about this.
National Good Neighbor Day. You can look it up for those of you who fact check me. Yeah, we have some special things planned for that day, because we're going to be out at Fort Liberty, used to be Fort Bragg. Right. We're going to be out that way, surprising a military family. So That's exciting.
That is great. Yeah, they so I'll tell you one thing that my kids' school does. So this area that we live has a very small town feel. And one thing that's interesting here is, like, in order to go to the schools in this town, you have to live in the town. Like, you can't be like, there's no waiver to be able to go to these schools. Like, you have to live here.
Okay.
So it's a very small community. They have flag duty at school. So the fifth graders, my oldest is in fifth grade, and they have flag duty, and they all went out and they learned how to raise, lower the flag, how to fold it, and each class does it for a week at a time.
I love that.
And she was so excited. She came home and she was like, we need to get a flag. I know how to take care of it. Because we're still trying to figure out how to get some stuff done, because we've only been here since Father's Day. And I feel like we should be way further ahead of unpacking than we are, but
give yourself grace. Give yourself.
We're just not. We've still we lost a lot of square footage in the move, and our basement's unfinished, and it's just like, it's the storage area right now.
Yeah, I get it. One step at a time.
Oh, I know, and that's something else that I think most military families understand, like, automatically, that nobody else gets, because some people are like, well, why aren't you done unpacking yet? Like, why don't you have this stuff done yet? And other military people come over, is like, I get it. I made a reel yesterday about finding those little stickers. And like, I was working out, because my garage is my gym. I've had a garage gym for, this is the third duty station now that I've brought my garage gym with me. Movers love me when they get to the garage, because they'll go through the whole house like, oh, you know what, this isn't that bad. And they see all my weights, are like,
yes, there it is.
But I found a sticker underneath. So I've got a cable crossover machine, and there's a weight stack. I found a sticker on the bottom support underneath the weight stack. And I'm like, how, what? And so I posted that, and like, all of my military friends and all the people that follow me that are military connected, they're like, oh man, those stickers are the cockroaches of military families. Like, it doesn't matter. One friend of mine, her husband got out like 10 years ago. She's like, I'm still finding these stickers. But I had so many people going, I don't get why this is funny.
We've made Christmas ornaments full of those stickers. We just did a home office makeover, and every piece of furniture that we were pulling out, everything had one on it. That I just started filming all of them. I'm like, how many does she have?
All different colors.
All different colors. So it shows you all the different moves.
Yep.
It was for us that it's like a rite of passage. I think that's why we find humor in it because we get it.
Right.
That is why this was so important for me, was because we get it.
Yeah.
I understand. When you said I haven't unpacked, I'm like, yeah. I
Yeah.
spent 8 months once and stuff was still in the. I even said, why am I going to unpack that? I never used that. We're just
Right.
going to leave it, and because it's coming, we're going. So there's nothing wrong with feeling that way,
Mhm.
but I do believe, like you said, taking those spaces and making them in some way, shape, or form our own,
Mhm.
having your daughters have a say in what their spaces look like, it's priceless.
I 100% agree. It's being able to build that and make the journey theirs, because we can't just drag them along and be like, well, suck it up. I mean, this is just what it is. They have to have some sort of say to enjoy the experience.
Yes.
And
I love what you said, having them make, I'm going to use this, I'm using this quote, making the journey their own.
yeah,
Yes. 100%. Well done. Happy snaps.
happy steps. So my because I had a thought. It was like the kids, they one thing, like, we want our kids to be proud of being military kids, because we don't want them to just feel special during their month, the month of the military child, whenever everybody else is making a big deal about it. Like, one of the things that our kids are pretty proud of is the fact that they know how to be the new kid. So whenever other new kids show up, they know how to make that kid feel welcome.
Yeah.
And it's one thing that I kind of pride myself on, because I feel like they got that a little bit of outgoingness from us, because we try to be outgoing and welcoming. And so I like that they know how to be the new kid, so they don't feel like they're the new kid for long, because they know how to go out and just like make friends.
Absolutely. I remember when my daughter went off to college,
Mm-hmm.
she was like, it's kind of on the point of being a new kid, but she was like, Mom, I'm so glad I was a military kid. I was shocked because she's the
Huh.
kid who said, I hate being a military kid.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? She said, I know how to do stuff. I know how to problem solve. I can do laundry. I can cook. I can do so many things. And I said, and these other kids can't. She
They
goes,
can't.
oh, they're coming here and they don't know how to solve a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, I feel like the military taught me so much of that,
Mm-hmm.
the having to move. How do I fix this? How do I adjust? How do I pivot? And that now being alone and being
Mm-hmm.
in college was such a benefit to her. Because I was worried about
Right.
that. You know what I mean? I was like, she's the one who hated being a military kid. So
Mm-hmm.
to all the parents who are listening, you're gonna be all right.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
that's
okay.
so my youngest has said that, or she actually said that on this last move, because whenever we left Georgia was the first time we had been somewhere longer than 2 years. So we were in Alaska for 3, and then we were in Arkansas for a very short, like, it's almost like we blinked and we were out of Arkansas, because they moved us early and they moved us out of cycle.
Mm.
And they moved us during COVID. Like, they had completely stopped all military moves, so we had to get a waiver from a 1-star to move.
Oh, wow.
So they were like hell bent on moving my wife. But so we got to Georgia, and it ended up being a way better assignment than we ever could have hoped for. Our kids made such good friends that was like the hardest move for them. And my youngest, she was like, I don't like being in the military. Why do we have to do this?
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of conversations. And one thing I don't think a lot of people understand, and maybe not every military family does this, but have those hard conversations with your kids. Don't just tell them, well, this is just the way it is, deal with it. Like, we have to let them go through their feelings and express it. Otherwise, they will never get to the other side like your daughter did. If you just make them just pound it down, like, they have to figure out their feelings and their emotions to work through it.
To work through it, 100%.
And one thing I just thought of this whenever you said, your daughter learned how to do stuff being on her own. I can't help but wonder how much our spouses deploying helps them with that. Like, I know, like, during the time it's going on, like, that is like one of the worst parts for us, is whenever our spouse is gone and our kids are having to deal with stuff. But then, like you just said, she gets to college. She's like, I'm the only one that can know how to problem solve and figure things out. I know there's a lot of times that, because my wife deployed twice when we were in Georgia, there's a lot of times my kids figure stuff out because I'm either helping the other one do something.
Right.
And so it's not on purpose sometimes, but they learn how to figure it out and work their way through stuff.
We always used when Dad, my husband was deploying, I would always say, okay, it's teamwork now.
Mhm.
We're a team. I cannot do it all. We
Right.
have to work together. So we have to be able to figure it out. I need help. So I
Mhm.
need you to be part of this team so that we can, a team, a well-oiled machine. We got to
Right.
work together. And that was always, so everybody would have duties and we would
Mhm.
rotate. Who's going to be making breakfasts? Who's going to be making lunches? We got to work together. You guys got to
Mhm.
help me out.
Right.
And I think that maybe positioning it that way,
Right.
this is a team and our team is only successful. We're only as strong as our weakest link.
Right.
We have to be successful. How do we do that together? Because if one of us is hurting, we're all hurting.
Mhm.
If one of us is having a hard time, we're all having a hard time.
Yep.
So how can we help each other? That was really important, especially during deployments.
Right.
And then it's funny because Dad would come home and they would be like, all right, we're done. Finish this. It's his turn.
Like, oh, finally.
Like, all right. Yeah. The kids.
How close in age are your kids?
16 months.
17, because mine are they're I want to say it's like right at 17 months apart from so yeah, so it is so ours yeah, it was that was a good time getting both of them out of diapers finally. That was like great.
But it happened consecutively, or at the
Yep.
same exact moment. That's why at first I was freaked out.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, okay, this isn't so bad.
Right.
Because it's just happening when you did for one, you did for the other. So they were kind
Mhm.
of on the same timeline. They were because of where the months they were born, they're
Mhm.
2-year difference in school. But
Okay.
I was like, this works out. Now is the
Mhm.
hard part because it's college and expensive and two of them at the same time. But yeah,
Well,
I'm glad we did it that way.
my youngest is a gymnast and my oldest plays volleyball, so it's already expensive. But I wouldn't trade it. They're great.
And I think
One
keeping them in sports is really important. I really do. Get them active and get them out there.
Mhm.
So yes, kudos, Dad.
Thank you. We started in gymnastics in Maryland, which was duty station 2, and we were only there for a year. And one of the things that I really appreciate about that, so my oldest started gymnastics there because she was like, I need to do something. I was a stay-at-home dad for the first time. Actually, that was the first time I had not been employed because I'd always like being from a small town. I started cutting grass when I was like 12 years old. Push some lawnmower around the neighborhood. Hey, can I cut your grass for $10? But so one of the things that was interesting for me as a male spouse was going to these different things, and the gymnastics place, their time for the toddlers that were at that age was called Mommy and Me. And finally, about halfway through our time there, the coach he changed it to like toddler time or something. Because every time he'd open the door, he'd be like, all right, it's time for Mommy and Me. I just look at him and be like, come on, dude.
Dude.
It's like, really?
So I know I'm on your podcast, but I want to ask you a question.
Okay, right on.
How do you feel? What could we do better for male military spouses? Because military spouses, I mean, the majority are women.
Yeah,
So
the majority are women.
how could we better support our male military spouses?
That is something I've been asked by other people, like just in passing, and people that are involved in like the spouses clubs and stuff. But the thing is, we just want to be invited. We basically we just want people to remember that not all spouses are female.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever it's like, the dress exchanges, or hey, we're going to meet up for, uh, you know, wine tasting, which I'll come to wine tasting all day long. I love wine. But like whenever we see advertisements that are pink and floral or all this stuff, that we see it, and most guys are going to look at that and go, that's not for me. And I had this conversation with a lady from the organization Independent.
Mm-hmm.
and they had reached out to me. I want to say we found each other on LinkedIn actually, and we had a conversation. She's like, "Well, how can we do this better?" I'm like, honestly, like, just remember that we're here and invite us. We may not show up, but eventually you're going to get one. And once you get the first guy to show up, don't act like he's a unicorn. Like, don't be like, "Oh my God, they exist. Do you see it? It's over there." Like we want to be invited, we want to be included. And a lot of us, we have good ideas, we have good feedback. And a lot of us want to be involved. And whenever we get pushed to the side or just not invited, or sometimes it's felt excluded, it makes it hard to want to be involved.
Understand that.
So
So I want to challenge you, because I am one of the co-founders of the Inspire Up Foundation, which
Okay.
started the movement Giving Tuesday Military.
Okay.
So we want ambassadors from all over the world, people to come on board and say, yes, I accept the challenge. And it's really easy. So Giving Tuesday Military is the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. So you have
Okay.
Thanksgiving, and you have Black Friday,
Right.
Cyber, whatever all the days are. And then you have this Tuesday.
Right.
Giving Tuesday has always been about giving money to nonprofits.
Mhm.
Giving Tuesday Military is not about that at all.
Okay.
We are a kindness movement. That is it. We want people to be kind to their neighbors,
Mhm.
to do good, to do something positive in their community. It could be the
Right on.
smallest thing, or it could be, putting together your own group and you guys going around and cleaning up yards, whatever it may be. But I encourage you to check it out. It's on givingtuesdaymilitary.com or
Okay.
on the inspireupfoundation.org. And be part of the movement. Encourage your community, your listeners, your followers to be a part of Giving Tuesday. It is so powerful. Our very first year, we were nuts, and we said, we're going to record 1 million acts of kindness. No one knows that we exist, but we're going to do it anyway. To our surprise, we were on the Today Show and had already recorded that before it was even 9 a.m. in the United States. There had already been recorded over 100,000 acts of kindness.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's very powerful. And this is our 5th year, which is a
Okay.
big year. So I encourage you, like I said, you're invited. Come on.
I'm there.
Do your thing. We do not put pressure. We do not say it has to be this. You have to do this. Nope. Find the way that you want to do it. In any way, involve your kids.
Mhm.
We have kids, military kids and non-military kids from all over the country. We had one at one school. They did a Post-it note
Mhm.
campaign where they covered like all the bathrooms, all the
Oh, that's
walls,
awesome.
all the lockers with positive affirmations,
Mhm.
positive words of encouragement. And I was like, that's
That's
cool.
great.
That is so awesome. Then she turned around and won Miss Teen Virginia.
All right.
And then went on to like Miss Teen USA. I was like, that is so fantastic. But it's that power of kindness is so huge. So I encourage you and I challenge you to come be a part with us. We think you're awesome.
Oh, just say less. I'm all in it. I'm there. I'm one of those people that, like, if and I think everybody needs this friend. It's like you tell them something that sounds ridiculous, like, oh, that sounds like a terrible idea. What time does it start? I'm there.
Yes. How soon can I be there? Let's go.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm down. Let's go do this. So when did you start that then? Because you said you started moving with the military 7 years ago?
In 2016.
2016. So when did you also decide to start with Inspire Up?
2019. So in 2019, I won the Armed Forces Insurance Army Spouse of the Year Award.
Yep.
For all the work that we've been doing.
Mhm.
And it was awesome. I'm so grateful to have been selected, be part of that group, great organization. And I met my ride or dies that are also part of the foundation, Jessica Manfrey and Samantha Gamolka. And, we were like, let's make at the time, it wasn't even let's start a nonprofit. It's let's do this movement.
Right.
Let's do Giving Tuesday Military and do good.
Mhm.
That was all. And then from that, we did that first year. The following year, we're like, okay, it's time to make this a nonprofit because people wanted to give.
Right.
Well, we can't just take money. Like, thanks, but we couldn't.
Right.
Legally, we're like, what do we do? We formed a nonprofit to be
Mhm.
able to get donations from large organizations to give.
Mhm.
So with our ambassador program, the ambassadors that come forth that say, hey, I'm going to be your ambassador in, Fort Huachuca or wherever, uh, we send them ambassador packages
Uh-huh.
that, t-shirts and things to help them get started and give them
Mhm.
ideas of this is what you could do. Now we, like I said, we just give you ideas.
Right.
You may have a completely different idea and say, this is what I want to do. Great. Awesome. We love it. Whatever,
Right.
whatever that idea of kindness is, do it.
Mhm.
So if, like I said, if you want to check it out, if anybody who's listening wants to check it out and try and become an ambassador or just wants more information, because what they want to do is make cookies and hand them out at their neighborhood. Okay. That's an awesome act of kindness.
Right. Because who doesn't like cookies?
Exactly.
But isn't that crazy though? Like to me, that's so wild. Like you're doing a good thing. People are like, hey, I want to donate money to you. But then red tape gets in the way. You're like, I can't take money from you. I've got to do this other thing first. It's like, but I want to help. It's like this seems like this should be so easy, and people make it so hard.
Well, we would tell them at that, if you want
Mhm.
to donate, then here are some organizations that you can donate
Mhm.
money to. If you're trying to give back to the homeless veteran population in your community, well,
Mhm.
here are some, here are other resources. Because
Right.
legally, it was like, well, who's going to be responsible for that tax liability?
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, okay.
It's like I
So
didn't think about that part of it.
yeah, we just want to do good. We
Yeah.
just want to do good. But yeah, doing good could, at that moment was like, you got to think of those bigger pictures. But now we're in that position where we can
Mhm.
take donations. And then those donations go to all the different programs we support. I mean,
Mhm.
we tell people right now when they're like, I don't know what to do, go volunteer at a food pantry.
Yeah.
Food insecurity is such a rampant problem, especially within our military community. Go
It's
volunteer. You want to give? Buy groceries.
right.
Give.
And
There are many different ways that you can do that.
and that food insecurity, it's such a bigger problem than people realize because because people don't understand what military life actually is. And I say like from my personal experience. So my sister-in-law, we were talking about she was like, well, are y'all going to come back to Arkansas another time? And I was like, well, we can't, like, I can't afford that plane ticket. Like we can't come back. She's like, well, I thought y'all got special rates on flying. I was
No.
like, we no. What makes you think that? Well, Kelly's Air Force, so don't y'all get discounts on flights? I was like, no, we like, where'd you hear that from? It's like, but like people don't understand that, like let's say it's a young family, and I'll even go officer side. Let's just say like a young lieutenant. They don't understand those guys and gals are not making a ton of money. And if they have a family to support, like even if they're living on base in
Mhm.
base housing, that food insecurity is a very real deal. Do you know Heather Campbell?
Yes, I love
Heather, she is a very dear friend of mine, and I have been loving how hard she has attacked this
it. Yeah.
and the traction she's finally getting to bring this food insecurity to the forefront. Remember, I was texting with her a couple days ago. I was like, just keep digging because it's finally working. She's
100%.
finally getting the right people to pay attention. I'm like, don't stop now. Keep going.
100%. Because I had heard often, well, it's bad, poor money management. That's
No.
why. No, it is not. That drives me crazy. So I love her story and I
Yes.
love how much she's doing, and that I love that she has no fear. Like I'm attacking this and people need to know. So
Mhm.
Heather, yes.
Yes, we love Heather. We definitely love Heather.
Yes, we do. Heather, hope
Um,
you're
she was actually one of my first guests
listening.
many moons ago. I started this podcast when we were in Alaska, and I won Spouse of the Year for the base. And actually going against Heather, like we were the top two for the base, and I actually won over her, and then she won the next year. And I almost felt bad because she actually took her platform and did something with it. And mine was more, a buddy of mine nominated me. He was like, "Well, I was spouse of the year at Masawa, so I'm going to nominate you because I do a lot with, like I said, with Team RWB, and I was doing a lot of stuff
Right.
off base. I didn't realize how much she was doing, and so whenever she won, and like we did, I did my interview with her like right after the time year I won, and she starts going through all the stuff she did. I was like, wow, like where do you find the time? But then I'm sitting here listening to your story. I'm like, where do you find the time? Because we've gone over, you're moving with the military, the Giving Tuesday Military Foundation, and then you said you're an accidental app developer. How do you accidentally develop an app?
Well,
See,
I
what
have.
happened was,
So what happened was, it was the thing. I'm actually a computer science teacher.
okay.
So, but I was never planning on developing an app. I was just teaching kids. And then another military spouse, Moni Jefferson, and I had the same idea at the same time. And I made like some comment or survey question on Instagram. She saw it and she reached out. She said, let's not compete, let's
Right.
collaborate.
Nice.
I thought that was fantastic. So we kept coming up with this idea of creating an app that would help military families PCS.
Okay.
And we just accidentally started working on it, and here we are. But we learned a lot in the process. The app doesn't exist anymore because one of the biggest things that people don't realize when they're making apps is every single time Apple makes a change or Android makes a change, you have to update your app.
Right.
To have an app, you need to have a lot of funding. We did not know that. We bootstrapped this. We both put in our own money, and we're like, I'm going to write some code here. I'm going to figure this out. We're going to, and it was a great idea that needed a lot more money.
Right.
A lot more money. And then it turned out after we did it, 3 years after we did it, the military branches created their own. And I was like, how funny is that? And then they do have a lot of money.
Right.
So we were very thankful for everyone who came on board, who paid the 99 cents, to help support it, because that's all the money and as an app developer, you don't get 99 cents.
Right.
You only get a portion of that. So you get like 69 cents because Apple keeps the other, the other portion. So it was a great learning experience. I get a lot of military spouses who reach out and say, I have an idea for an app. And I love hearing about it. And then I say, how much money do you have?
Right.
Because it's not as simple as we may think. And then the maintenance side is a big part of it. So I hope I don't discourage people, but I do want them to know that they either have to have money or need to go get money, get investors.
Yeah. And that's one thing I think there's a lot of military, because what I hear you're a professional problem solver. That's what you are.
Thank you. Yes.
And
I will take that.
And that, to me, like, most great inventions, most really good thoughts, they come out of necessity. And military spouses, we see so many issues from different sides, and we're like, man, if somebody would just do this, it would get better. And if more people would take the initiative, well, if some people would just do, well, I'm going to do it. And that's like, there's so many people that are out there doing like really great things. I've got a friend, Michael Peters. He was, his wife was stationed in Colorado. He got together a group and they built an all-inclusive playground for people with disabilities. That way, these kids that normally wouldn't be able to go on a swing set can go on a swing set. But he saw a problem, and instead of sitting around going, man, somebody should really do something about that, he fixed it.
Yeah. Professional problem solver. I think I'm going to make a t-shirt. Yes.
I'm finally getting some shirts made for the podcast, and on the back it says Mil Spouse motto, it's fine, everything's fine. Because That really is our motto. Like, I know that was a meme and it still holds value, but like, we're so used to just everything going crazy around us and being like, nope, because there's the exit right there. And I'm going to make all this work to get to that other side.
I'm going to get there. I don't know
Yes.
how, but I'm going to get there. Yeah.
Like I said, build a parachute on the way down.
Yeah. You're going to make it work. You will figure it out.
Right.
Especially when everyone tells you can't.
Oh, that's just fuel to the fire. Like, you can't do that. Oh, I can't? Watch. Hide and watch. So with your show, with Moving with the Military, how do y'all find people to pick from, or how do people reach out to try to be a part of that?
There truly is no shortage of people. I
fully believe that.
That I was kind of shocked, because when we got our first 5,000, I went, oh my goodness, this is insane. So on our website, on movingwiththemilitary.tv, not .com, .tv, there is a nominate a military family. And one of the things that we do is, it's not necessarily needs-based, because what we want to do is honor the family. So maybe the family is just crushing it and doing great things for the community. They're doing for everybody else, but they never do for themselves. Well, that's where we step in, and we're going to do for them. Nice. So if you know of a family that is deserving, whether they are doing good things for the community, they're really awesome, helping other military families, single soldiers, always there for someone else, or there is a need. We've had people nominate families who've lost everything in a fire, whose house got flooded, whose PCS truck caught on fire and lost everything, literally lost everything. And then we come to find out, which was after the fact, I mean, before we did the makeover, but right after, when we talked with him, he was like, yeah, somehow we understood that the military would cover everything, so I canceled my insurance. And I was like, read that fine print. They cover up to. And then it's up to you. If you would have had your insurance, it would have covered the rest. But they had nothing. And this was just a few days before Christmas.
Oh.
So we went in. It was like, we literally said, Avengers Assemble.
Right.
Because I don't even know how we're going to do this, but we're going to do this.
Right.
We did their entire house. They gave us the address, literally gave us the address and gave us the keys. They were still coming into town. We were able to get to the house. Like I said, part psychologist, part private investigator, asking the spouse, so what do you like? What, let's start a Pinterest board. What things do you like? So once I got an idea of what she liked, we reached out to everyone. I need couches. Hey, Ashley Furniture. Hey, everyone I can call. What can you help us with? And we were able to furnish their entire house.
That's amazing.
It was like, no, and on top of it, I'm getting ready to leave. It was in Ohio. I'm getting ready to leave. My son gets tested, has COVID. So because I was exposed, I could not go and expose the rest of the crew. So my crew went ahead, and I did the whole thing virtually via like FaceTime and Zoom.
Oh, wow.
I was panicked.
I can imagine, because you're a very hands-on person when it comes to this stuff. You're involved in all of it. You're like trying to like reach through, like, no, that there needs to go there.
Over there. No, and then they love playing pranks on me. So the producer, which is they were so good at it. The producer from the other side, from the main sponsor, calls me, and she's like, Maria, we've got a problem. And when she calls me and says we have a problem, I believe her. I don't believe my producer, because she's a prankster.
Right.
But she's like, we have a problem, and I don't know what to do. And the cameraman's on her with a phone. I was like, what's going on? Moves over, and there is a giant coffee spill on the white couch.
Oh no.
And I was like, oh my God. Okay. I said, problem solver.
Right.
Right now, we're just going to throw a blanket over it. We're going to cover it. It's going to be fine. We'll reach back out. This is all quarantined. Everything's great. It's going to be fine. And then my producer walks over and picks up the cup that has spill attached. I said a lot of colorful.
Oh, that's so mean, but so funny.
All the time. They do it to me I should know by now.
Right.
Know by now, but she gets clever, more and more clever and sneaky with every makeover.
Well, and that one works especially well because you're not there.
Yeah, I couldn't see it.
Right.
Like,
So
really,
you're like
like,
instantly, okay, this is how we're gonna fix this. And I'm like, gotcha.
and I was just like, if I could have thrown something through the screen, I would. Oh, it was a lot, but we were just happy for the family that we were able to support them, and like I said, right, it wasn't just the house. We gave them a
Right.
whole Christmas tree. Like,
Mhm.
we gave them everything, and the words from the military spouse was, "You saw me."
Oh.
Like, look, I'm gonna cry. Sorry. She was like, "You
That's
saw me. You
yeah.
saw what I was going through," and that she felt helpless.
Mhm.
And that we came in and we're like, "We got you. You're not helpless. This is a community, and
Right.
we've got you. We'll make this happen." So that was very powerful, and I'm glad that we're able to do that. We can't do it all the time. We get a
Right.
lot of requests that I have to turn down, and that
Mhm.
breaks my heart, because I'm like, I wish I had HGTV money.
Right.
HGTV, if y'all listening, change your mind. And because they have like a ridiculous amount of money to do stuff with, and I'm
Mhm.
glad they have their makeovers, but what impact are they really making?
Right.
You know what I mean? Come
Yeah,
over
that
here, we're making some impact.
yeah, and that's I really don't think people understand because you're not I know for me, like I get something out of every single one of the episodes I've seen, I leave impacted because I know what those families are feeling. Like that is it's not just a like I can watch the stuff on HGTV and be like, and I can feel happy for them. But that's not my story. Like what you do is our story. It's going into a place that you don't know where, with people you don't know, but another military spouse is like, I got you. We're going to help you out here. And like, you just feel that instant connection and you do feel that impact.
Yes. But like you said, because it's
Mm.
our story, like,
Yeah.
I'll walk in and say, "Hey man, I'm gonna need your keys."
Mhm.
And there's no question, for sure, man. Here
Yeah.
you go. Because there is this level of
Mhm.
trust,
Right.
because, well, yes, we are a business, but we get you. We're another military
Right.
family. Totally understand. And it's not like I'm not, people say, "Well, your husband must have retired." I'm like, "No, my husband's active still." Like, no,
Mhm.
we still got a few years to go. Like, we're not
Yeah.
done with this. So there is this level of trust and
Mhm.
understanding. So, um, like, the best story I have is we did a piece with Better Homes and Gardens, the magazine, for a
Mhm.
Marine Corps family. And the Marine Corps spouse said, "If it wasn't you,
Mhm.
I would have said no, because I don't know if that company was coming to
Right.
take advantage of me, take advantage of our story,
Right.
but I know that you're a military spouse, you get it. You're
Mhm.
going to be my safe."
Right.
And that's exactly what it was. So when there were certain things that they wanted to do, I'm like, "Nah, no, that's a no.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be this way, because this is what's right for the family."
See,
So
and I don't think the people that are telling you no about your show that's the piece they don't understand is that like I know for me like I'll like whenever I see different shows and like oh this military family I'm like cool but the people that are working with them don't understand and it feel like I'm so happy that those families are getting that thing but I can't help but feel exactly what you just said that show was there to be like look we support military families.
check the box.
Yeah, woohoo, yay. But they can't listen to that story and sympathize.
Mhm.
They might be able to have a little bit of empathy and be like, oh, that sounds tough, but they can't sit there and be like, I know exactly what you're saying. Whenever my spouse is deployed, we had this happen. And there's that instant you get it.
It's so incredibly powerful.
Mhm.
We see a lot of times, and this is just something, sort of small, but with a lot of the makeover shows, or other magazines and whatnot, when we want to put things in that are
Mhm.
military related, they
Mhm.
want to take them out. And we're like, "But that's our story. Why
Right.
would you take it out?" Yeah, it may not be design 101, it may not
Mhm.
be the right thing but it doesn't matter. It's the
Right.
right thing to do for the family.
Right.
And so I am not going to take away every single trace of their military service, their military life. No. If you don't like it, don't photograph it. See ya.
Exactly.
Don't
Like,
care.
they're like every family's got that one "I love me" wall.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we can't look at that, but that's telling this that's
Sure.
telling part of the story. Like, you have to at least have a corner of it or something. Because every military family is going to see that and go, "Oh, I've got one of those."
Uh-huh. There is that connection.
Yeah.
And I think that is super important. So thank you, number one, for having me on your show, but number two, recognizing you get it. Because what exactly? You
Yes.
have your show because you get it.
Yeah.
Dude, so important, so powerful. Thank you.
No, I'm glad to. I was talking to my wife about it, and like I said, I've been doing this since 20. I guess I did my first one in 2017, and I was like, I started off like I just wanted to interview male spouses, but we are notoriously hard to like get stories out of because
This
we
I
don't.
know.
Yeah, because we like, especially because so many male spouses are prior service members. Like, they're like, no, I did my thing, now doing this other thing. I don't need to tell my story as a spouse. And I'm like, but your story's powerful.
Yeah.
And it's so insanely difficult to get guys to come tell their story. So I was talking to my wife, I'm like, I'm missing a large portion of our community by only focusing on, like, I think male spouses, last I looked, are like just under 2%.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm missing the other 98%. And there's a lot of people doing awesome things, and I want them to be able to tell their story. And I like telling stories. I like, to me, like, if 7 people hear this, I got to talk to you.
That's right.
And I got to connect with somebody that I normally never would get to connect with and hear your story, which makes me feel a lot more connected to you now. Because now I'm like, I get more about why you do what you do and who you are as a person. And it makes me appreciate you that much more. So I love getting to talk to people and hearing their story. You do that so good. Like, mine looks like it looks weird. Like, you're like perfect with your like heart. And I'm like, I don't know what mine looks like, but
Oh, mercy.
oh, so if there was any, not necessarily just design. Actually, one question before I get to that one. What, besides the Christmas, besides Maria Saves Christmas, which we just talked about, what is one of your bigger, more challenging makeovers that you've done that you can think of?
2 of them.
Okay.
They were, whenever I have to do an entire house,
Okay.
those are the hardest because it's an entire house.
Right.
And I don't have like months and months of time. It's like,
No, you do it in days.
World went days.
Yeah.
It's like, so we had a call, and in fact, how we saw it, someone saw it on social media and sent it to me. It was a military spouse, literally at 3:00 in the morning, pleading on social media for help.
Okay.
And it was during COVID. Her husband was out to sea on the Navy ship that had been the longest at sea in the history of the Navy.
Yeah.
In Virginia. She had gone home to spend some time with her parents. She was coming back, and through a hole in their fireplace that big, tiny, like the size of a quarter, not even the size of a quarter. Roof rats, which is very common in the Northeast, came in. Well, once one comes in and sees, well, it sees like this is a happy place, it sends out a signal, yo, party time.
Yeah.
And her house got infested.
Oh,
so
no.
She came home to literally a rat party. Open the door, they were everywhere.
Rats
they
everywhere.
ate everything, drywall, carpet. It was awful. So she's pleading on social media for help. Someone sends that to me. I call our sponsor and I'm like, I know we don't have the money, but I know we're going to work this out. So how we're going to do it, don't know. So we are. And in, I think it was 10 days. No, it was a little bit longer because we had to put them up in a hotel. It was like 15 days, literally gutted the house and redid it. Again, most of it, I'm not even there. I come in for the last few days. It was just like no sleep, I barely sleep as it is anyway, but this was
Mhm.
definitely no sleep, just get it done. And then, the family, he came home. He came home, and the
Mhm.
day after he came home, we got them into their new house. So
That's
that was like
awesome.
a tight
Right.
timeline. And the second one was here at Fort Hood. Again, someone shared it with me. A military
Mhm.
spouse's house flooded, a pipe burst. It
Mm.
happens, but it flooded while they weren't home.
Mm.
So everything was sitting in about
Yeah.
a foot of water
Mm.
for a month. So it was just mold. It
Mold.
was nasty. So they had to move out. They got them a new house while they had to fix the old house.
Right.
And then they lost all their furniture, everything. So we got them a whole new house, but I had
Mhm.
like 3 days to get it done. And again, like how this one was a test of every possible skill that I had. What can I find on Facebook Marketplace?
Uh-huh.
What can I find? What can I thrift? How can I make this happen? And who can help build stuff? And one
Right.
of the coolest things was our lead carpenter built a Jeep on the wall for the kids' room.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was really cool.
That is so cool.
I was like, how did you even do that? Because I come up with the ideas. I don't
Right.
necessarily always build them. I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if we had like this Jeep and a desk could come out of the Jeep? Like, how did you do that? And he did. And I was like, what?
Nice.
But yeah, it's a group effort of
Mhm.
people who believe in it, who
Mhm.
see in it, and they're just like, yeah, let's help these families any way we can. But those doing an entire house
Yeah.
on a small budget with a short amount of time is the hardest thing.
So you were talking a minute ago about like calling Ashley Furniture and calling some of these other companies. Have you found that as the years have gone on, it's easier to get these people to say yes, or have you just gotten better at getting them to not say no?
I have gotten better at getting them to not say no.
Okay.
I've also gotten better at taking the no and moving on. Like I
Gotcha.
can't dwell on it. I
Right.
can't take it personal.
Yep.
You never know what an organization's situation is. They may have
Mhm.
done all their giving for the year. Like
Right.
I try not to take it personal, but I have learned that there are companies that get it and
Mhm.
companies that don't. Some just
Right.
want to check the box. So they did it
Yeah.
once. They're like, we're good. Don't come back.
We did that 2 years ago. We don't need to do it
We
again.
don't need to do it again. But then there are other companies, some that are, give them a shout out. American
Mhm.
Furniture Warehouse, owned by a veteran,
Nice.
um, started out in Colorado. Uh, they get it.
Mhm.
They get it. So, we're partnering with them and working with them as often as we can, and it's hard. Everything costs,
Right.
and for them, I do believe that not just them, there are lots of companies that see it as not just checking the box,
Right.
but as making a real impact because they understand. And usually I find that those companies are ones with a veteran at the helm,
Yeah.
someone or a military spouse who works there, who gets
Mhm.
it and goes, wait a minute, we need to do this, and more than once.
Well, because we need that voice on the other side of somebody going, no, y'all are missing this. Y'all are
Yes.
seeing this part of it, but this is not the part you're not seeing that's going to make this meaningful and impactful for our company.
Mhm.
Because as much as I hate to say it, like at the end of the day, it is for them, it is a business decision.
Yes.
But whenever you have that military spouse or that military connected person or that veteran sitting at that position, they can go, no, this isn't just a business decision. This we're going to be making an impact in our community. That's will on the back end is going to help the business because people are like, no, they get it, they understand, but we can impact this family in a positive way right now.
Yes, absolutely. And usually when there is a big need, house on fire, truck on fire, flood, when there is that big need and that urgency,
Right.
that is usually when people step in
Mhm.
very easily. And here's just a fun fact. Military families are 75% more likely to have some kind of accident than any other family because we move so often. So a theft, the fire,
Oh yeah.
we're more likely to have that happen. That's my plug for insurance. Make sure you have insurance. Wherever you go, I don't care, but make sure you have insurance. But when there's those urgencies,
Mhm.
people are more likely. When it's on the we're honoring this family,
Mhm.
sometimes that's a little bit tougher. And that's
Right.
when it comes with, we love what you're doing,
But
but how many people are going to see it? How many people are going to see our name brand, whatever your name brand company is? How many people are going to see it? And I always say, does it matter?
right.
Does it really matter? Because it's about the mission,
Mm-hmm.
not about how many eyeballs are on it to applaud you for
Right.
doing that.
It's like go look in the mirror and ask yourself that question.
Yeah.
Don't ask me. Go ask yourself, does it matter if I'm helping this family or not? Does it matter if I'm helping this military family and the like not have the things they need to feel better here? Ask yourself that question.
Yep. I've gotten sassier in the last 7 years. I used to be like, okay, thank you. Like, oh my gosh, they said no. And now I get to more of, no, I'm going to sell you on this. I'm going to make you understand, not feel bad, not feel bad about the horrible comment you just said, but I want you to understand. And so, you know, it's always a work in process. To me, no is just not a no, it's a no right now, because I'll be calling you back.
Yeah.
And okay, all right, we'll move on.
You know, and now you're getting to a position now where I feel like when people are like, well, what's the impact? You're like, oh, I'm glad you asked. Here's the impact. Here's the data on that.
Yes. I love having reports now. My friend, I'll throw her name out, Brittany Bacher. She is my spreadsheet queen. If you ask her, she'll go, I have a spreadsheet for that.
Nice.
So she does. And when I show impact reports, the smile on her face, she's like, yes, because data is what drives.
Right.
They want to be able to see the data, like this many families, this many people, because even though that one family was given the makeover, the number of families that were impacted because they realized, I am not alone.
Right.
I am not alone in this. And moving with the military has become a community.
Right.
Because I'll go somewhere, heading to Fort Liberty, I'll get calls, I'll get DMs. Hey, you're coming to Fort Liberty. I saw it on your social media. Can I come help?
Nice.
Do you need somebody to paint? Can I take out the trash? Hey, I just want to come and support and hold an American flag. Hell yeah.
Right.
Come do it. That they see a community, they see a sense of belonging, and that is at the end of it, to me.
Right.
That is the most important thing, that we build a community of people who care and who understand. And
it's happening organically. You're not forcing it.
Yep.
Like it's people that see what you're doing and they're like, I want a piece of that. I want to feel that impact and that joy that this other family is going to get. They want to feel that.
They want to be a part of it. And then even on the other side, I've heard from other military spouses who have amazing social media followings, who started watching 6 years ago when I was teaching things about, you can make this, don't be afraid of a power tool, that are now building furniture, starting their own companies, doing that. And I was like, yes. And they said it all started because I watched you not be afraid, or I watched you actually make a few mistakes and go, don't do that. Don't make that.
Yeah.
Try this instead. And to see that, like, there is plenty of room at the table for all of us.
Yes.
And when we all work together, and I get collaboration over competition, when we all work together and shine the light on everyone else, the impact that we can make and the stories we can tell. That to me is more powerful than anything.
Well, because like you just said, there's plenty of room for everybody.
For sure.
Like there is not one thing that I can think of where if I was doing a thing and someone went, hey, I know a little bit about that, we can work together and make it a little bit better. Where I'd be like, no, I'm just going to do this myself.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't want you riding my coattails. No, like, dude, let's do this together. Let's go
together. We're
going to go further, faster, if I have your help.
You're a perfect example. Doing a makeover. I'm the designer, right? You would think I had it all together. Another military spouse literally walks in the room and says, did you think about doing it this way? And the second she said it, I was like, oh my gosh, she's right.
Yeah.
I said, absolutely. Could you help me move the furniture? Like, help me out. And she's like, for sure. We flipped the room right before we were filming. My producer walked in and went, wait a minute, what just happened? I said, she had a better idea.
Yeah.
not only did I credit her at that moment,
Mhm.
while we're filming, I'm like, hey, come here. She had a better
Yeah.
idea. And that's what collaboration is, because at the end of the day,
Mhm.
what was going to function best in that room, I didn't see it. I couldn't
Right.
see it, but she saw it right away. So
Mhm.
yeah. And why would I be afraid of that? And people have asked me, weren't you afraid that you gave her an opportunity? I'm glad I gave her an opportunity.
Right. Like,
Why
why
would
would
I
I think we were about to say the same thing, right? Like, why would I not?
why would I not?
Yeah.
Like, of course. But I think people who are selfish
Mhm.
or think if I give someone else an opportunity, then I am going to be put on the back burner.
Right.
And if that's what happens, if somebody else got an opportunity and got an HGTV show
Mhm.
and I didn't, okay, you know what? I'm proud of
Mhm.
them. Just still not going to stop me from what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm going to continue on, keep on keeping on.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to cheer them on
Yes.
and make sure that they have support and that
Yes.
we are there for them and that we are watching their show and that because it's our collective story.
Right.
It is all of us. It's not one of us. We can't do
Absolutely.
this alone. So yeah, I'm down.
Oh man. Well, I have truly enjoyed this. This has been an amazing conversation. I feel like I could sit here and talk to you for like the rest of the day, but I know you've got other stuff you have to do. I've got dishes to wash, so I'm not really looking forward to that. But
I got some of those too in a warehouse to kind of clean out that I've been avoiding, but I need to do it too.
yeah. Um, so Maria, where can people find you?
Everywhere. No, if you go onto our social media, so our website, movingwiththemilitary.tv, please check it out. In fact, it just launched today, our new website.
Nice.
And leave a comment because I think my husband in his uniform looks very dapper. But they can find us on our website. That's where you can nominate a military family. And then
Okay.
all of our socials at Moving with the Military. I know it's long, but yes, at Moving with the Military, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I think I'm on Twitter.
All the places. Like I told my wife, I was like, "Look, I've gotten on every single one of them mainly because I want my screen name to be there. That way, if I do decide to get there, nobody, it's not taken." It's
Right.
like, but yeah, like I even got on Threads.
I'm on Threads. So if people could see my face, they'd be like, "What is she talking about?" Yes,
Yeah,
yeah. Threads. I'm not sure yet. I don't know.
I don't think anybody is because like it blew up for about a day. And then a friend of mine was like, "Is this thing still here?" I was like, "It's hanging on by a dot dot dot."
But
Because it's like
good one.
I didn't want to make the joke. It's hanging on by a thread, but I couldn't not make the joke.
There you go. I got it. There it is. I'm good.
Well, thank you so much for coming on my show today. I sincerely enjoyed this conversation. It's been phenomenal. Thank you so much.
I appreciate the time. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who's listened. And again, I'm going to end it with I challenge you. Giving Tuesday Military, the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. I want to say it's November 28th. Make sure.
I have to look at it. I'm gonna tag in the show notes. It's going there. We're
Yeah.
doing this.
Do something good. Pay for the coffee of the person behind you. Just do something with just because being a good human is a good thing to do.
Absolutely.
All right.
Maria, you have a fantastic day. Thank you so much.
You too. Before we hang up, so I
Yes.
know you're still recording. If you want someone to interview, Samantha Gamolka, who is one of the co-founders of the Inspire Up Foundation,
Okay.
because September is Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, and she is actually battling ovarian cancer right now.
Okay.
Her husband is special forces. He's actually on a mission. He's deployed.
Okay.
And she's doing all of this and just an amazing human being that is a powerful force. But I don't think sometimes that people know enough about what's happening with cancer. How many military spouses and military members suffer with cancer, and that she's, because of what she's doing, she's got something on social media called the Chemo Chronicles.
Okay.
People are actually going to get tested, and two of her friends found out they had cancer and didn't know, like would have never gone
Right.
to get tested.
Well, we both know like how how can I say this gently? How wonderful military medicine can be, and how the great care that we sometimes feel we get from them. And I say this gently because my wife is in the medical field, and I know a lot of military docs that are doing great things and truly care for their patients, but I know that's not always what's felt on the receiving end, and it can be a hassle to navigate through it. So that's awesome that she's doing that and getting that message out that these are things that are important and we have to take care of ourselves because nobody else is going to do it for us.
And the thing is, she was in the medical field. She was a PA. And she wasn't even checking on herself.
Right.
Look at this. Look at this. Come here, child. My son
coffee
brings me, my son brings me
son
coffee.
brought you coffee.
Gotta come down, child.
He's like, do I have to? He's like, no, I'm not. I'm done.
I love you. Thank you for the coffee.
I don't want to interrupt y'all's meeting anymore.
Thank you.
I was digging the shirt though, chilling like a villain. That was sick.
Yeah, he's chilling like a villain. He's a good kid. He's the one that's in the ROTC program.
Got it. Well, I figured he had the Oakleys going, so that was like
I swear, it's like if we could have stamped military on a kid.
There it is.
No doubt, no doubt. Since he was 4, he's never wavered. I'm going.
Awesome.
And here we are. Here we are. But I will email you Samantha's information if you're interested.
Yes.
In anything for September. But she's an amazing soul.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to talk to her and share her story.
Cool. Thank you.
No, thank you. We'll talk again soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.